Well, we all are travelers.
8, 7, 6, 5.
Either you know it or not. Either you know where you're going. Each day we are creating our own legacy.
Miles in altitude, almost 6 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, already traveling 500 miles an hour.
Let me digress. Let's talk about time. For me, time is a very mysterious concept. Every day, we are given 24 hours of unmanufactured tissue of the universe. You cannot steal time. You cannot be on debt. You can only waste time right now. Although you cannot borrow also time tomorrow. If you are looking for a miracle, I say it's in front of you. Every day.
Probably the most important event that propelled the establishment of these labs. During the time of inception, there were a number of young executives at SIPDEC who became interested to join Masonry. Now that they knew that there is such a lodge in Tigbawan, they immediately registered their intention to join Masonry. So you had senior officers of SIPDEC, very young, very promising, coming into the lodge. So it was very easy now to organize the group so that they are able to do their own floor works. Later, sometime in 1986, there was a change in government. The change in government brought about a change in leadership of SIPDEC. And this has an effect on the senior executives of SIPDEC and therefore to the lodge. At this time, there were a number of members who went abroad, relocate themselves elsewhere in the Philippines. There were very few people who were left to carry on the work of the lodge. So at that time, we decided to change our venue from Tigbawan to Iloilo City.
Well, personally for me, you can endeavor to be a better man. Well, that's probably one of the ponderings why I became a Mason. This is a fraternity. This is not a religion. The difference is, Masonry does not promise you redemption or salvation. It embraces all. We respect each other's belief.
Brother Senior Warden, for what purpose are we assembled?
To install the new set of officers of this lodge for Masonic year 6020-6021.
Our lodge was exposed to the Iloilo community. When very worshipful Joey Contreras, we were able to attract him to apply for membership into our lodge. So that was a proof that our lodge has enough fame that it could attract members from the city of Iloilo. And then from that point on, with the admission of Joey Contreras to become a member of the lodge, the floodgates of other young, able citizens and God-fearing people went to join our lodge. And since then, about 2003, our lodge has been progressively taking in new members, and this contributed to the well-being of our lodge.
Masonry is not a secret society. It is a fraternity with secrets, just like all fraternities. However, ours is very ancient.
One event during the 1990s was a National Independence Day parade, which was all over the city. We participated in with our full regalia, lodges, all the lodges, brethren, the Demolays, Job's daughters, and it was a very long parade. In fact, the tarp here hanging in the lodge was the tarp used in the float.
After this lodge has been called from labor to refreshments, the officers to be installed will retire and prepare themselves for the ceremony of installation.
The level demonstrates that we are descended from the same stock, that we partake of the same nature and share the same hope. And that although distinction among men are necessary to preserve subordination, yet no eminence of station should make us forget that we are brethren. For he who is placed on the lowest spoke of fortune's wheel may be entitled to our regard, because a time will come, and the wisest know not how soon, when all distinction save that of goodness cease, and death, the mighty leveler of human greatness, reduces us to the same state.